So, good morning and welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. I'm your host, Adrienne Bradley of Thriving Childcare, and thank you for joining me here today. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. And if you are coming back or watching this on replay, welcome back. Do me a favor if you're joining me live, or even if you are catching this on a replay, can you just say hi in the comments, or send me some hearts and likes just so I can see you and say hi to you. I'm going to be looking back and forth to the comments. Hopefully I can see them. So I usually start this show by welcoming you like I just did. And oh, by the way, if you are watching this on our channel on YouTube, please consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing. That would be awesome. I would appreciate it, and it would get the word out about the show to more fellow providers. So a few housekeeping notes. Again, my dogs are behind me, so I can hear the jingling, so you probably can too. I say that every week just because they could bark at any time, and it startles me, and I don't want it to startle you, so I just want you to know they're there. Secondly, like I've been doing on every episode, by the way, this is our 10th episode. I cannot believe how fast that happened. And before I go any further, thank you for the support, for watching the show and interacting in the show. And I look forward to a lot more shows, and I have some exciting information coming up. So so I just wanted to say that. So, anyways, I usually, I told you he was going to bark. By giving a disclosure, and it's just that I want you to know that these questions that I present here on the show are from fellow providers who have questions or issues related to their business, their childcare business. But the opinions and the advice that I give are my own, based on my own experience, or someone close to me, their experience. And, if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't resonate with your business, not everything does resonate with everyone's business. So take what works for you and leave the rest. I'm just here to help and to maybe give you a different perspective on something you might be going through. I know that for me, many times over the years, I have had my child care for 20 plus years, and a lot of times that felt very isolating. And were it not for my network of fellow providers and colleagues that I could reach out to and bump things off of, it would have been very, I don't want to say lonely, but very one-sided too. I wouldn't have had the insight of someone else's perspective, someone else who wasn't going through what I was going through. A lot of times, I know for myself, emotions can get the best of us, and sometimes we can't even respond to things the way we would want to because we're emotional or tired or all of this. So that's what this show is about, is to give you support and another perspective for something you might be going through or a fellow provider might be going through, and to give you something to think about if you ever get in that situation yourself. So let's see. Third, I want to remind you that if you are joining me live, or even if you are watching this on replay and you have a different perspective, or if you have a question, go ahead and put that in the comments. I'm sure other providers would appreciate getting your perspective as well. So don't be shy. Come right on into the comments and give us your take, okay? Let's see. And lastly, let's see. We have a weekly giveaway every week, and this week is no different. So I'll be giving you a promo code and talking about the giveaway a little bit later in the show. So stick around for that, okay? And if you have to leave early, know that you can still get this giveaway too. Just stay tuned for the promo code that you need to use to get this week's giveaway. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the Thriving Childcare universe. Let's see. So first, today's show is sponsored by the Provider Planner and Organizer, our luxury planner just for childcare owners. And I just want to let you know that this time of year seems early to a lot of people to be thinking about a planner for next year, but it actually isn't. This is actually prime planner season. And the reason why it's prime planner season is because it's before the holidays, it's before the new year, it's before all of the madness where and it's, school, the start of school again, so the start of a new school year. So it is a fresh start, even though it isn't the beginning of the year. And we actually need to plan all year long. That's not something that we just do at the beginning of the year and we don't do it for the rest of the year. So right now is one of the best times to order and get your planner and start planning out what you want to do in the holiday season as far as your business or projects or anything related to that time, so that when you get there, you already have your plans in place. You're not scrambling to figure out what you want to do. I know that would happen to me a lot. I would all of a sudden, one day it was Labor Day, and the next thing I knew it was Thanksgiving. And it's like, oh my gosh, So I hadn't planned because you get busy. We're busy all the time, right? So anyway, consider getting your provider planner and organizer now before we are in backstock, before we run out. Usually that happens by the beginning of the year. So there is a link in the comments where you can go over and check out the planner. And we still do have a few of our Stripe planners that are on sale right now. They're actually $20 off the regular price. So check out that link in the show notes and go over and check that out. Okay? All right. Now let's see. I am so excited to tell you something that's happening next week. We have something very special happening on the show next week. Denitra Scott will be our guest host next week. I'm not going to be here. She will be here. She is actually a former home child care provider, a former center director, and she's an amazing business coach for childcare owners and directors. And I'm so excited to have her here and for us to be getting for her to be bringing her experience and insight and knowledge to our show next week. So be sure to set your reminders to catch next week's show, because I know she will have a lot of things that she wants to share. And so I'm excited. I'm really excited. I told you I had some exciting things that we were going to do with this show, and this is the first of many to come. So please join Denitra next week. All right, so this morning we're going to jump into some questions submitted by daycare owners. But before I do, something I've been doing for the last few weeks is to go to our planner that I was just talking about, and we're going to check out and see if there's any special observances that are going on this week or next week. So we are almost at the end of August. I can't believe it. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, well, there is not a whole lot going on, but this is a great time. This week would be a great time to send out reminders. If you're off, if you are closed or planning to be closed on Labor Day, this is a great time to remind your clients that you will be closed. So I think I mentioned this last week, but this is a great week. It gives them enough time to figure out some things if they need to figure it out, but to remind them that you're going to be closed. So maybe think about sending out a mass text, an email, posting something up near your sign-in sheet, something like that, just to give them a heads up. And I know a lot of providers don't really like doing that. They feel like it's doing too much, or it's doing more than they are already doing, and you are doing a lot. I get that. But for me, it just became a routine thing for me to remind them about tuition, due dates, deadlines, and holidays that were upcoming. Because we know parents can get busy just like us, and maybe they have forgotten, maybe they think you're going to forget and not take off. But sending out a reminder is just, it's just another little thing you can do that hopefully will make it a little smoother between you and your clients. And do it if you feel. If you don't want to do it, then I understand that as well. Lastly, on the 31st, and I think that's actually next week. I probably should bring this up next week, but I won't be here, so let me bring it up now. On the 31st of August is National Eat Outside Day. So National Eat Outside Day. I know a lot of these observances we don't even know about, so in the planner, there's a lot of them throughout the year, but I love that idea of maybe planning to have lunch outside. If you already do that, then that won't be something new to you, but maybe put a different spin on it. You know what I mean? Maybe set it out like a picnic if that's something you can do in your setup. But do something special for National Eat Outside Day. Announce it to the kids. Maybe they'll have some ideas. But yeah, that maybe hang some lanterns or something if you have a tree nearby, or do something special to just make the day special. Let me see what day of the week that is, by the way. My calendar will come up. It's on a Thursday, so I was thinking maybe it was going to be on a Friday, but it's on a Thursday. But yeah, maybe ask the kids what they think you should do on National Eat Outside Day. All right? Okay, so let's get into some of these questions today. We have some really good ones, and let's see if we can solve some issues or give some advice to our fellow providers. And again, this is what we do here, because, and I'll probably say this every week, this is kind of my new tagline, I love a rant. I do. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to get it out, get it off your chest, and rant, okay? But a lot of times a resolution would be so welcome. So that's what we're doing here. We are taking the rant one step further and hopefully getting you close to a resolution to whatever issue you're dealing with, okay? All right, so the first question. Question is anonymous, but she says, he or she says, hey Adrienne, I need to talk about how hiring teachers the old-fashioned way just doesn't cut it anymore. We've been spending tons of money and time on it, but it's just not effective. And don't even get me started on the inflation problem here in California. She is in California, just like me. Expenses are through the roof, and they don't seem to be coming down anytime soon. And when gas prices go up, everything else tends to follow. The thing is, we can't raise our prices to compete with pre-K public schools because they've got early acceptance on their side. So we're left with two options: pack up and leave California, or find a way to make things work. Need advice and options. Okay. Well, you know what? The thing about it is, and I'm taking off my glasses so you can see my face. The thing about it is, this has come up recently. A lot of businesses after the pandemic are dealing with, not being able to make ends meet, or really struggling to make a profit or to stay afloat. And when you talk about salaries for teachers and assistants that are higher now, that adds that extra financial layer on top of what you're already dealing with. Now, she mentions that hiring the old-fashioned way isn't working because, of the higher rates. I do have some advice. I actually did this many years ago. So, and let me just say, this is going to take some work on your part, okay? So, because I don't know what part of California you're in. I don't know if you're near me, or I'm in the San Fernando Valley of California. I don't know if you're in the LA area. I don't know where you are. But wherever you are, consider reaching out to the child development departments in the local junior colleges and even the universities. And a lot of times in those departments, they will have like a work study program, or they will have, what do they call it? It's where they need to get a number of hours of work time in an actual childcare setting, okay? And I know at the university, they actually had a whole department that handled that. So you're going to need to reach out and find out who you need to talk to in these institutions, but see if there's an opportunity to get an intern as opposed to hiring. I don't know if this will take care of all your staffing issues, but maybe if you're losing staff and you need to replace some staff, maybe reaching out to them and finding an option, or using an option to maybe bring in an intern as opposed to hiring somebody. Now, when I did that and I was talking to the department at the university near me, she suggested that it should be a paid internship, okay? Now, the reason being is you're going to have more interest in a paid internship as opposed to a non-paid internship. Makes sense, right? But that doesn't mean that it needs to be at the same level as what you're paying your teachers and your assistants now, okay? So that's one option. The next option that I have is very similar, but depending on what, and you need to research this as well, what the age limit is for having an assistant. I don't know if you can do this in a child care center, but if you're a home-based program, you might even be able to reach out to the high schools and find a student who would be able to come in if they meet the age requirements. You most likely will need to get them fingerprinted and follow those procedures, but see if you can hire someone or a student that way as well. All right, so hopefully that gives you some options. I know it's a really hard time, and I can't see the wages going down. I really can't. It's a hard place to be, because you can understand that they need to have a living wage, but as a business owner, you have what they refer to in sports as a salary cap. You have only a certain amount of funds allocated to go towards salaries. But maybe that is something else to say here is, moving into the new year, go and look at your finances. See what room you have. I mean, I know she says that she's been paying quite a bit, or raising the pay rate quite a bit, and that's still not enough. So hopefully some of those other solutions or those other options will give you some ideas for finding, more staff. Okay, so let's move on. The next question is, it says, this is an anonymous question too. Adrian, I'm at my wit's end. The mere thought of getting up for daycare wears me out. Since starting my business 2 years ago, I haven't had more than 4 consecutive days off. I'm struggling to cope, and my mental health is taking a hit. I hate sounding like this, as many people can operate normally, but I'm going crazy. I desperately need me time, but I've only scheduled one week of vacation for Christmas. I run my business from home, which means I'm solely responsible for my policies and procedures. I thought my selling point would be availability and affordability, but I'm struggling to keep up. Even daily curriculum and circle time have become difficult to manage. What should I do? All right. There's a lot to unpack here. Okay. So, am I talking slow today? I feel like I'm talking slow. I usually talk really fast. Let me clear my dashboard here. Anyway. Okay. So, everything that she has put here is the answer to what she needs to do. She says, what should I do? First of all, let's start from the top. Understand that you are most likely dealing with provider burnout. And a lot of us have. So we know what that is like, and we can recognize it. And that's what it sounds like here. Chime in if anyone else agrees with me. I personally think that that's what's going on here. But immediately, and this, you've only been in business for 2 years, but you've taken only 4 consecutive days off. That is the problem. And I understand, believe me, when I started, I was scared to take off. I thought I was going to lose my clients, that they wouldn't understand, and I did the same thing. I worked and worked and worked, and I worked myself to the point of being crazy, just like you're saying. I was exhausted, is what it was, and that's what it sounds like you are. You're exhausted, and it's understandable. I've said before that at one point I did the calculations, and at the end of the year, we have actually, most providers, especially home-based providers, we have worked approximately 2.5 weeks more than the average worker. And the reason we have, and I know that sounds crazy, right? But the reason we have is because of the long hours. We have long days. My days would be 10 to 11 hours with the kids because I had kids dropping off at different times. But the parents didn't realize that. They just saw themselves dropping off their own children. They didn't realize I had been open for 2 hours, and after they picked up, maybe I was going to be open 2 hours after that. So my days are long, just like yours sound like your days are long too, and that adds up. It just adds up. It is, okay, I'm going to give it to you straight. I had a client who, the father got laid off, and he was searching for another job. And I don't know if his options were limited or what the situation was, but he wound up accepting a job that was quite a distance from not only me, but also his own residence, right? Way out. Now, him and his wife would split the responsibility of dropping off and picking up the children. Well, of course, him working way further out meant his commute was much, much longer. And in California, everybody in California knows what that means. That means you are in traffic. And anyway, long story short, he was late picking up his children a half an hour every day. Okay? And to some people that sounds like nothing, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, it's just a half an hour. Well, I had 2 of his children. And they were challenging children, okay? They were just, especially later in the afternoon like that, or towards the evening, they would get antsy and even more amped up. So one day when he was picking up the children, and I was exhausted, and I know you could see it on my face that I was exhausted and I was frustrated. And he was like, he actually said to me, well, it's just an extra half hour. And you know what I said? I said, actually, it's not. At the end of the week, it's an extra 2.5 hours. And I could see him a bit shocked because he didn't think about that. And then I followed up and I asked him, I said, do you know what time you get off work? And he said, yes. And I said, don't I deserve to know what time I'm going to get off work? Because it is work. It's work for me. And He understood. He actually said, yes, you do. So they went about making some adjustments to figure that out, because it was not okay. It wasn't what we had even agreed to in their contract. So I want to first validate the fact that you are probably working long hours and it is taking a toll. You are getting tired, it's driving you crazy, and it sounds like you're starting to hate your business, because you said, I hate sounding like this, but I just thinking about starting in the morning is wearing you out. All right? As far as other people being able to handle this normally, and meanwhile you're going crazy, you don't know that. I can tell you from experience that I had days when I was in the bathroom crying before I opened up. I just needed some time off. I needed to be able to step away from, and I lived in my business, right? Because my business was in my home. If that's the same for you, it's kind of hard sometimes even mentally to separate from your business when you're living in there. And not to mention the fact that I said 10 or 11 hours with the kids. That doesn't include cleaning. That doesn't include shopping. That doesn't include curriculum or getting activities together, ordering supplies. All of that. That's more time. So it's even more than that, if you really want to know. So what I want to say is, a lot of us have been there. We have been there. We know what this is like. So do not feel bad because you think everybody else has got it together. That's usually not the case at all. Okay? And finally, you say, I desperately need some me time. And yes, you do. You need some me time. But you say you've only scheduled 1 week of vacation for Christmas. And you do say you run it out of your home. So now everything I've said probably applies. And you're responsible for your policies and procedures. So let me put those two things together. You've only scheduled 1 week during Christmas. But you recognize that you are the director, CEO, businesswoman. You are the one that's setting those policies, setting those vacation policies for yourself and for your clients. So I'm going to challenge you. To go ahead. This is August. Go ahead and schedule some time off for Thanksgiving. Okay? Schedule that week. Listen, a lot of times we take on the responsibilities of our clients as parents. And I'm not trying to tell you to be insensitive to parents. I was a parent, or I still am a parent. So I know what those days are like. But when they get to school, they're going to have to figure it out. Okay? Here in California, the children are out of school a lot. Okay? Between winter break, spring break, all the holidays in between, the teacher, what do they call those? Teacher planning days, I think is what it's called. They are out of school a lot, and the parents are going to figure it out because they don't have a choice. So same thing here. And the reason why I'm saying for you to, I'm actually advising you to do this, is because if you don't, you'll continue to feel this way. And you might shut your business down. That's not helping your clients. You going out of business is not helping you or them. You feeling like you're going crazy, being exhausted, and struggling to cope is not helping you or your clients. You're taking care of kids. It's not only reasonable, it's expected for you to need some time off. So do the brave thing and schedule at least 1 more week before the end of this year. And then I want to challenge you to go to your planner and next year to schedule, first of all, if you're not taking those, let me back up. If you're not taking all of the federal holidays, I'm going to challenge you to rethink that. And I know you've said here that you thought your selling point would be availability and affordability, but you're struggling to keep up. Okay, so you can make changes because you're the CEO, you're the director, you're the owner, you're the provider. Okay, so now's the time. You did that. That does not work for you. Okay, so it's time to make some changes. Okay, so if you're not taking those holidays, go back and rethink that. They're usually in any calendar, but take out your planner, and that way you can give your clients, like I did, like I said earlier about Labor Day coming up, you can give your clients a heads up. What I would do is, in my contract and handbook, it lists out the holidays that I take every year. But at the beginning of the year, I actually had some magnets made up that gave the specific dates for each of those holidays that I was going to be closed, or even and even my vacations on this magnet that was very inexpensive. You can get those very inexpensive. And for them to put either at their desk at work or on their refrigerator at home, so they know what days you're going to be closed. So there's no confusion. And I put that in their Christmas card. Okay, it just became an annual thing. I did it every year. And if you don't want to go to the expense of buying or paying for a magnet, you can either make them yourself, or you can just print out a little postcard on your printer, and put that in their Christmas card, put it up near their sign out sheet, put it on their communication board, whatever you need to do. But you do need some time off. Okay, so do the brave thing. Your clients are going to understand. Believe it or not, a lot of them are off those days. Okay, but if you're open, they're probably going to drop their children off. But I really want to empathize with you, but I want to encourage you to take that time, schedule that time that you need, and that's just the bare minimum right there. The holidays, during the holidays throughout the year, and the two big holidays at the end of the year. But you need to schedule a vacation. Okay, maybe when you can figure out when it's best for you to take your vacation. Maybe right when summer begins, whatever works for you and your family. But you need this time. And you do not need to feel guilty for taking it. The parents take it. They take their time. So I know I spent a lot of time on that, but I just want to emphasize that because I have been there and I know what it's like. But you really have to do what's best for you, or you will go crazy. You really will. Or you'll go out of business because you just can't take it anymore. You just can't stand it. Okay? All right. Let me get to the next question. I think we're going to go a little long here today, guys, because I'm talking slow and I've got a lot to say, apparently. Hey, does anybody else have any comments or suggestions for anything I've talked about? Oh, Shalane! Let me see what she's saying. I can't see. Oh, it just popped out. Okay. Oh, this is good. Shalyn, I don't know why this is popping in and out, but I'm trying to read what you're saying. Shalyn Mansfield-Butt says, she's responding to the teacher, hiring teachers and having issues with, running the business because of the rates and not being able to raise your rates. She says, put all of your initial onboarding and hiring training on a closed YouTube channel just for your center. This way, this keeps popping around. This way, no one's actually sitting through and training people. That's really good. You know what? I love that idea. I'm a big proponent of having a set onboarding procedure. And if you do like what she said and put it on video, then you don't have to do it but once unless you make some changes to it. You don't have to do it but once. Your staff can revisit it whenever they need to. You can refer to it whenever you think they need a refresher. You can, it's just a good practice to have, and you don't have to spend those hours onboarding every staff member that you get. You have it already set up, and you can just send them the link in an email when you hire them. That is an awesome idea. Absolutely awesome idea. Thanks, Shalyn. I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody else appreciates that as well. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Unfortunately, my preschool is struggling to stay afloat. Wow, see, this is happening a lot to a lot of providers. The high salaries of our teachers, coupled with the limited income of parents, has resulted in losing students. I'm currently weighing two options: sell the school and risk not having no income for my family, hire teachers without units, and face the potential consequences from licensing. I'm feeling lost and uncertain about what to do next. Okay, I know this relates back to the earlier question, but I'm going to tell you something, and I've been meaning to do a short video on this. I hope to have time to do that pretty soon, but before I even do that, let me just share some of the information. Last week, I believe, I was watching a story on the Today Show, and they were saying that since May, now we're in August, right? Since May, it was either 51 or 53,000 teachers have quit. They've left the profession, and yeah, that was in May. Now, we're in August when school is about to start. You have to know that they have not been able to replenish that amount of teachers. There's no way. The story went on to detail that because of the staffing issue and maybe some other issues, a lot of school boards and school districts have decided to go to a 4-day school week, which means on Friday they're closed. All right? Now, you can imagine that is impacting parents and families in these districts. Okay? So I'll wait for the video to discuss the issue about the teachers leaving and what opportunities I think lie there. But right now, I just want to talk about the one of them talking about going to a 4-day work week, 4-day school week. That can be an opportunity for childcare providers. Now, hear me out. Last week, I told you about a poll that I put up in the groups, and I asked if because I'm in California, I asked in the California groups, were they being affected by TK, which is like pre-kindergarten, and I think it's even earlier than that, being open to all 4-year-olds here in California. And many of them said they were. Many of them. But there was one, and I hope to get her on because I really would like to interview her so that you can hear what she has to say about how she pivoted and changed her business model to be able to, for her business to survive and to not be so impacted by this. So same here, okay? There may be a time, if you are thinking about shutting your business down, then it is worth the time for you to sit down and see if you just need to maybe look at a different business model. Because what she said she did was she eliminated her infant and toddler program, and she solely takes before and after school children. She charges the same. So she's not out of money, or near the same. I think that's what she said. When we get her on, or when I talk to her, I'll get that clarified. So, but she's not missing income, and the bonus for her was there was so many hours in her day that just got freed up. All right? So she was working less and making the same. And her business was thriving. So what I want to say is sometimes we don't think about this because we get overwhelmed by what's happening, and this wasn't what we planned. But just like I was saying to the provider a moment ago, yeah, your original plan was to be flexible and affordable, but if that doesn't work, you don't have to stick with plan A, okay? We can come up with a plan B. So here, maybe plan B is deciding whether or not a different business model would work better for your business. And you know what? I have just recently I started to pay attention to different providers' business models. And there's a lot out there. I'm embarrassed to say, but I was in a bubble, right? I was just thinking about the way I had structured my business and maybe some of my colleagues, my close network of providers, how their businesses are structured. But there are a lot of different ways that you can structure your business. Your childcare does not have to have the same game plan as everyone else's. It doesn't. And if it isn't working, and if you're not able to get clients, then it's time to look at that and to see, maybe go into some Facebook groups. Denitra, ask her about this next week. She's famous for saying this, or infamous with me anyway, for saying that you should be in some of these mommy groups and local mommy groups. And the reason is because you can hear what their concerns are, but you can also kind of tap in and discern what their needs are. So if you are, let's say you're in one of those areas where they're thinking about going to a four-day school week, well, go in and pose the question, are parents having difficulties with this? Maybe they don't know what to do, or they will probably be voicing their concerns about it and their struggles with it, because the parents still have to work all week. Most parents, they don't get Friday off. But I was looking at a provider's setup recently, and I was so impressed because her setup was like this. She had basically a morning program. Okay, so I believe the children arrived at 8 a.m. I'm assuming, I don't even know if she serves breakfast, but I'm assuming they have breakfast there, and maybe lunch. But they left. The day was over at 1. It was over at 1 p.m. So it was basically a morning program. And before I started, I interned at a center, and that's what they had, was a morning program. And so I recognized that. But also, you know what else? She had Fridays off. She was closed on Fridays. Now you might be thinking, and I would probably be thinking at this time, how does she have any clients? But this woman has been doing this for years. And I'm looking to interview her too. And what I want to say is, if it didn't work, she wouldn't have any clients, but she's full. Because it will bear out whether this works or not. And no one has to enroll. They know that you're closed at 1 and that you're off on Friday. So most likely in the demographic where her business is, she's got maybe stay-at-home moms that want the children to go to a program where they can have the social interaction, they can get ready for school days, and they get the break that they need during the day. Whatever, it is working for her business where she is. So I think a lot of times we get locked into this one business model idea, when in fact there's many, many ways to come at this. Now, whether it's going to work or whether it's going to bring you enough clientele, you'll have to test it and see. But going into these groups and maybe voicing that you're thinking about starting a program or changing your program to meet the needs of your community better, and seeing what they have to say about it, would be a good way to test it out before you actually implement it. So let me get back to this question. I hope I answered it. Yeah, okay. So that's what I want to say. And then earlier, when I was talking about maybe looking at hiring, or not hiring, but getting interns from the local colleges and junior colleges, might be an option for maybe not having such high wage line item on your budget. So maybe look into that. So I think a lot of this is us stepping back for a moment and taking a fresh look at our business, because something that worked 20 years ago when I started my business, listen, it's completely different. Back then, the preschools and the centers weren't taking children. I'm talking about my area. I'm talking about in California, in the San Fernando Valley. They weren't taking children at age 3. That's changed. That's changed over the years. And it kind of happened when the real estate bubble blew up and a lot of people were out of work. And, when we have these changes in our society, a lot of times it affects the employment status quo in our society. And what that means is there's going to be like a domino effect. A lot of things are going to change. And I think us holding on to the business models that we started with might be what's holding us back in a lot of cases. And I can say that with confidence because of what that one provider said. She said, if you can't beat them, join them. She changed her whole business model, and now she's doing well. And she's actually benefiting by not working the long hours that a lot of other providers are. So I hope that helped. We are going long today, but it is giveaway time. And I kind of knew where the questions were going today. So I'm bringing back something that we gave away earlier on in our show. So this week's giveaway is our self-care journal. And I want everyone to really, let me look you in the eye. I want everybody to go over and get this. You get this for free. Excuse me. If you're watching the show live or if you're watching the replay, you get this for free. Until next week, next Tuesday at midnight, go over and the promo code, excuse me, the promo code is free for me. Go over and get this self-care journal. Use the promo code free for me. That's FREE, the number 4 ME, all capital FREE, number 4 ME. That's the promo code, and you will get this journal for free. Okay, so go get this journal. Start paying attention to your self-care, your mental health. It's something that I actually talked to Denitra Scott recently about, and this is being more and more recognized in the corporate setting. But we work for ourselves. We work in small businesses, but that doesn't mean we don't need to recognize that we need self-care and we need to monitor our own mental health. And a lot of times our mental health is affected by us not doing any self-care. Okay? So this journal will help you to start to set up a routine for self-care. It's not easy to say. Self-care for yourself, and to recognize the benefits of it, and to, and I know sometimes, I thought mindset issues and self-care was just airy-fairy stuff, and it wasn't for the strong-willed people like me. Listen, everybody needs to take care of themselves, because if you don't, you will have some repercussions, just like we talked about today. So go over and get that self-care journal, and you can get it until next week, next Tuesday. Let me see when next Tuesday is. Next Tuesday, the 29th at 11:59, you can go and get this journal. So use that promo code free for me, and you can get it for free. All right, let's move on to our last question. And these are really good. I know I am talking slow today. I don't know why. I've got a lot going on today, so maybe that's why. But anyway, so the last question is, during my previous attempt to arrange a video meeting with a parent, they requested an in-person tour instead of a video call I offered. Moving forward, I've decided to limit the in-person tours to the second meeting. I value my privacy and security, and I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to answer all questions over video to get a sense of prospective families before providing my home address. But the parent said if I was not going to offer an in-person tour, they would not accept. How would you word a response? Okay, so a couple things here. I guess what she's referring to is she's kind of changed her touring process for prospective clients. And a lot of us did, especially during the height of COVID and even right after. We were making a lot of different accommodations to try and mitigate the spread of COVID-19. But it sounds like, she's changed her procedures, and that's fine. She's the business owner, she's the CEO, she's the director. She gets to do that, okay? Now, when you do that, I presume that you are thinking about the fact that you probably are going to get some pushback, right? So this is a situation where you need to, at the same time you're making that policy change or making that procedural change, think about what if. What if somebody pushes you back? How are you going to respond? Okay? Are you going to feel intimidated to do what they ask, or are you going to hold the line with your procedure? Right? And if you think about it ahead of time, you probably are going to be more equipped to deal with it when it happens. If it doesn't happen, great. But if it does happen, then you will already, have the mindset of what you want to say and how you want to deal with this. Now, her situation says she's just doing that for the first interaction with the client, with the prospective client. But the second one, it sounds like it would be in person once they've kind of decided whether it's a good fit or not. I don't see anything wrong with that personally. I don't. I don't know what her experience has been, but I have, and I know a lot of people are going to relate to this. I have had people no show, no call that didn't come for a scheduled tour. Even after I implemented reminding them. I remind people that they have a tour. I send them a text the same day of the tour to remind them that they have a tour at such and such a time. And if they need to cancel or reschedule, to respond to the text. Even after doing that, I've had people no call, no show. And I don't know, I don't know if they care or not, but I don't know if they think about the fact that it takes time to prepare for a tour, especially if you're doing a tour during business hours, because you're taking care of the children and doing other things at the same time. So getting ready for a tour that doesn't happen is a waste of my time. So I don't know if that was her experience or not here, but regardless, she's changed her procedure, and this is what it is. Now, if a parent says that, to me, the way I would interpret, I don't want to say interpret, the sense that I'm getting from this situation is that the parent doesn't want to go along with that, and it's their way or the highway. Personally, it would be the highway. I would respond by saying, well, unfortunately, these are, or fortunately, however you want to put it, these are our procedures here, and I wish you luck in finding a childcare that meets your needs. And the reason I say that, and you can come for me if you want, but the reason why I'm saying that is because this parent is already showing the unwillingness to follow your policies and procedures. It would not be a leap to think that they would not want to follow some other policies and procedures. They're not even in the door, and they don't want to follow this. Maybe explaining to them that this is just for the first interaction to decide if it's a good fit for them, if it's a good fit for you. Maybe giving a little further explanation would change the situation here. But honestly, if it doesn't, it sounds like you made these procedural changes for a good reason for your business. Understand that, and don't be scared to enforce it. A lot of times we make policies and procedures and our contracts, and we try and make them bulletproof so that we won't have to have the conversation. But the fact of the matter is, I know from experience that, first of all, most of them don't even read the contract. And if they do, it's not unreasonable for them not to remember every detail of it. I can admit that. But that doesn't mean that I need to change something about it because they have forgotten, or they didn't want to go along with it, or they don't remember, or whatever it is. It just means that I need to enforce it. It's my business. I'm the director, CEO, provider, whatever my title is, whatever your title is. If you made this procedural change, it is up to you to enforce it. And that's not a bad thing. And if you need to role play, I used to role play with my husband before I got comfortable with having conversations with parents, so that I wouldn't feel intimidated in the moment. Sometimes we're tired and it doesn't come out right. So I would role play with him or role play with a friend or something, just so that I would be prepared. Because whenever I would acquiesce and do whatever it is they wanted, I would feel bad after, because I didn't want to do that. Why did I just agree to do that? So prepare, just like we were talking about with the business models a few minutes ago. Sit down and prepare. Think these things through. Okay, take it to the next level. Okay, just think, okay, what if somebody challenges me on this? What's going to be my response? Can I de-escalate the situation? Can I maybe explain a little bit more? But if they still are unwilling to follow my policies, what am I going to do? How am I going to answer? Because I just told you what I would say. But that doesn't necessarily have to be your response. It doesn't. But I would say you need to think about what your response is going to be, because more than likely, especially when it's something that isn't something that was routine a minute ago or a while back, something new that they're experiencing. But also, I'm a big believer in setting the tone with parents from the beginning. And that comes from years of getting pushback from parents. I needed to be the one to stand up for my business and my policies and procedures. And if I put them in place, there was a reason. So, okay. Now, I've gone almost an hour, so I'm going to get to say goodbye to you. But I just want to say, if you have any questions, that's it for the questions for this week. But if you have any questions, you can submit them early, and we can maybe answer them here on the show. Or if you're watching this on replay, you can put your question in the comments, and I'll come in later and answer it there. But you can leave them early. Like I said, just go to thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question. That's thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question to leave your question for maybe next week's show. And again, next week, Denitra Scott will be the host here on the show, and I hope you will join her. Maybe bring up some of the stuff that was brought up this week, or have brand new questions for her. I know that she will love it, and her insight will be extraordinary. So, my name is Adrienne Bradley. I'm your host for the Daycare Q&A Show, but not next week. And I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Not next week, but the week after. So until then, keep thriving. Thanks for joining me. Bye.